I wear the chain, I fought in life. I made it link by link and yard by yard. You will be
in the world of toys, boxings, museums, reviews and reviews. Mr. in the world of toys, unboxings, museums, reviews and reviews. Mr. in the world of toys. You find your allegiance when you got your faction. You find emotion into a magic world, and if you love cosmic legions, figura obscura, and even mythic legions and module, you know that behind great illustration artwork there is a great artist and a friend of mine. And after a while he come back tonight on my show to talk about his creativity and his art. So guys, please welcome to my guest, Nate Baertsch. Nate, welcome to the show. Actually, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Allen. That's a cool song, and dare I say, even cooler animation there at the beginning. That was really, really cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I love the stop motion. It's something that I like put in my review. And I follow with the footstep of my master, my friend Alex Kropinak. This is a great stop motion maker. And every time I do the stop motion, I say to him, what do you think? There is some progress there. But let's talk about, speaking of art, speaking of creativity, you worked recently, in my opinion, in my favorite action figure released in 2023. The touch actually, I'm a writer, so I love writing. I love great writers like Charles Dickens, and yes. I like Christmas Carol.
Awesome.
I like this figure, but I like the full package of this project. No, so the artwork, the idea of the comic book, mini book, and your artwork that give the vibes and the feeling. So let's start to talk about one of these awesome pieces that you did for this figure. So tell me everything about the creation of this great artwork with Scrooge, with the bed, fireplace, the window. Tell me something about your inspiration and every work in progress about this beautiful picture.
Awesome. No, this was fun. This was largely art directed by Jeremy Gerard, because he also loves Dickens, and he loves, like, one of his favorite stories of all time is this story, is A Christmas Carol. And so he had a few things to say, but as I was researching and doing a variety of things for it, I don't know if I've said this in another interview yet or not, but Scrooge in that painting is based on my father-in-law. Not saying that my father-in-law is Scrooge, but while it was, we were out at their place in California for a little while, and I was like, hey, I was also in the middle of working on this. I was like, do you mind just posing? You know, he wasn't dressed like that. He was just in normal clothes and everything, but he actually was my model, as it were, for Scrooge here. And there's some of the features kind of look like my father-in-law, but not really. Like my father-in-law is very nice, kind, and kind of the opposite of Scrooge in many ways. But but it worked really well to have him model for it. It was a lot of fun.
Like an old school painter for this.
Yeah, no, anytime that I can, I'll try to get reference. That chair that he's sitting in is actually it's my mother-in-law's chair. She actually has a chair that looks like that. So it was nice to just pull straight from the source, so to speak, because he was sitting in the chair, and yeah, it made it easy. And then the rest of the scene, like I said, Jeremy was art directing it mostly, and he actually provided a lot of various pieces of scenery for me. When it came time for me to figure out what was going to be outside the window, I was also already working on the exterior of the box, so I had that London at night scene, and it was kind of fun to throw the clock tower in there. So I threw that in. It was interesting. I know that England had a clock tower at the time. That is not Big Ben, I don't think. I think this predates Big Ben. So it's just another clock tower, I suppose. It would have been.
So you do also some research about the architecture of London at the time.
I try to, where time allows for it, and when I can, I try to. Yeah, in fact, I remember having a text thread back and forth with Jeremy and Eric saying, I have to be careful about what the clock tower looks like, because it can't be Big Ben, like kind of a thing. So it was kind of fun.
I like that you also do details also for the outside of the scene, no? So you work, because it's a detail, but if you watch the full piece, is a small detail compared to the whole piece, no?
Right.
I like that you study each single piece of your artwork, no? Tell me something about the bed, this type of bed, where you got your inspiration.
Some of that came from some references that Jeremy was giving me. Also, my in-laws have a similar type bed. They don't have all the curtains around it necessarily, but I knew that was a thing that would have been done. And then in the scene, you'll notice Marley himself, like Scrooge is reacting to nothing, but really in my mind when I was doing it, Scrooge was reacting to the figure. Like I knew that as you would open the panels wide, that you would see the figure there, and that he should be reacting to the figure. So yeah,
that's super cool. I love this idea, no? Like different way of art, no? The background, they become a part of the scene, no? With the figure, this interaction is really cool.
Yeah, this was interesting too, because Jacob Marley on a whole, I mean, there's so much. There's only so much that happens in the story. I mean, it's basically here. It's just the room with Scrooge, with Ebenezer. And beyond that, the rest of the story takes place with the other ghosts, and they go all over the place. And so there's more of the story to explore. But with Jacob Marley in and of himself, it was fun because Jeremy said that I had a few other extra sketches that had like little Timmy and stuff like that on the outside of the box and other characters. And he was like, whoa. He's like, no, let's not go there. Let's save that possibly for possible future releases, kind of a thing. And I was like, okay. And he said, really, the story is about Jacob Marley. So the only other thing that we could really talk about would be the exterior, where you see all the ghosts outside when Marley shows all the tortured souls to Ebenezer. So they're really, yeah, for this packaging, normally I like to pack in as much as I can. And in this case, I felt like I kind of, hopefully the complete story is almost here in many ways. And I'm sure that there are probably people that are more intimately knowledgeable about the story that would tell me, oh, you could do this and you could do this. And you know, they're probably right. But I feel like for the most part, we did the best that we could in the time that we had to capture everything that we did.
And about other details, the candle, the little clock on the fireplace, and the fireplace itself, where you got your inspiration? For something in real life or other?
The candle and the clock are kind of out of my head for the most part. However, those tiles, those are Dutch biblical tiles, and those are specific to the story. That's a specific detail that Jeremy in particular wanted me to capture in the story, that's like his fireplace should feature those Dutch biblical tiles. largely because I believe one of the, I forget if it's Cain and Abel. I think it's Cain and Abel is referenced in the story, and that's going to be in there somewhere.
So these details of the tiles are really small. I believe it's not easy to do.
No, it wasn't super easy. I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I had a lot of good references, and they were all. I mean, if you look, you'll see some repetition. I did use the digital tool to its full ability there. So to save me some time, but also it was an important enough detail that it needed to be there. So yeah.
Do you have now I try to stay in the topic, but also surround a little bit. No, do we have a favorite movie version of the story?
For me personally, it would be the Muppets.
Okay.
It would be Jim Henson. Well, it was just after Jim Henson had passed. They did this production, so it was the first production without Jim. The first time that
Jim Henson was a genius, by the way, a true visionary.
Yeah.
He translate his vision in some for reality, and also against the business guy that doesn't understand his vision. No.
Yeah, exactly. No, he was. I love just about everything that Jim Henson touched. Pretty much everything. I mean, there isn't anything he touched that I didn't enjoy. Like I get full. I forget what their names are, but I enjoy so much. In fact, my daughter and I text them back and forth to each other. There were two Muppets, and this was back in the days of black and white TV, and he was doing commercials. It was for a coffee company, and they were two Muppets that would just beat the crap out of each other all the time and just do all kinds of nonsense. And they had all kinds of funny quips and sayings that were just hilarious. And so a lot of those beginning days, when Jim was just learning the craft himself, but then being very successful, and you could really see his soul and his humor come through in the work. It's magical stuff. And then all the way through Sesame Street, love Sesame Street, love the Muppet Show, love Fraggle Rock. I love, Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. All that stuff is just, I love it.
Yes, he's an unbelievable genius. He's also a way to say there is hope for visionary to become to translate his passion for a job, because it's not easy. But I think that Jim Henson is one of them. Also, Tim Burton is one of them, for example.
Yes.
I recently met Tim Burton in Italy. Actually.
I saw that in the video. I was like, awesome. That's
it's really authentic, no? He's still humble, so it's like you and me. You can talk with him like you and me, because it's still authentic as an artist, no?
Cool. That's
I think
great
because he tried to save his vision during his career is the reason why he's still authentic.
Yeah, and he's particular, and he's stayed true to as much as he can with it, which is admirable, and it sets him apart. It really does set him apart from others, because you can look at a film piece now and go, that's a Tim Burton.
Yeah. He has his print, his style. No, you recognize immediately this is Tim Burton.
Yep.
And now let's talk about your style, because I want to talk with you another piece of your heart in this Jacob Marley project. Awesome. I like so much the knockers, that you put on the front of the cover. That's really cool. Tell me something about your inspiration about it.
This is, again, Jeremy, when we had our first meeting and we were talking about doing the packaging, this was, I believe, one of the first notes that Jeremy had was we have to do the knocker on the very front of the cover piece. And I was like, I wasn't going to question it, because that's, again, an integral part of the whole story. I mean, that's where Scrooge is starting to see stuff, right? It's when he grabs the knocker and it's his head, and he's like, well, wait, what am I seeing here? Kind of a thing. And then he breaks the jaw. It's kind of funny. I missed what Trevor's quote was really quickly.
He says, not a big Motu fan. I'm a Motu fan. Come on, Trevor. And he says, by looking forward to Revolution, your poster pulls me in. And Trevor, awesome. Don't go anywhere, because we will cover the poster later on in the best show on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. And yeah, we'll talk more about that. But thank you. Your words are kind. But yeah, back to the knocker. It was fun. I really enjoy sitting down and just doing nice facial portraiture type stuff. I actually really, really get into that. And so I was excited to do this piece just for that reason, just so that I could really, I mean, I had Eric's his sculpted piece in front of me. And obviously I was using that as reference by and large, but then I also wanted to just give it my own touch in terms of lighting, in terms of the way the brush strokes were handled and that kind of a thing. So it was a lot of fun. It was, if I had a portfolio, I need to update my portfolio. That piece would absolutely be in there. It's it's probably my personal favorite piece for the whole Jacob Marley project.
Yeah, I love it because they gave me different vibes, not only for the story of Jacob Marley, but also some vibes. Remember me, Alice in Wonderland? No, you remember the knockers, the talks, no, and also was great. Also have these pieces also in the actual accessories of the figure because I still build this stuff.
Awesome.
It's meant to be the wizard room for my mythic legions, and wanna build a door, and that knockers looks great for that. No,
yeah.
Also because there is a trap door. There's also a trap door in the.
Cool. Every good playset has to have a trap door. That's the rule.
Yeah. And for the trap door, I won't put another knocker. So for that, I did a lot of stuff. I did another room. I did this one. They go fast to Jacob Marley. This is a fireplace that I built.
That's cool.
Is this a part of
light
it?
up? Well, is there a light in the flames? Can you light it up?
There is a tea light inside that you can
awesome.
You can use, and I show you. Let's see. I don't want to become my show of myself, but
no, that's okay.
Also because it's like also a conversation between two friends, no?
Yeah, if I was at your house, I would be asking all this stuff anyway, and I'd be.
So let's show you. Now I need to put on every little tea light, no?
Yep.
But I did everything in XPS form, no? So I do the dry brush, many layers of paint, no? It's a long process project. And now because I go back to writing 3-4 hours every day, I have less time to do that, no?
Yeah.
Because the idea was to finish the cast to the arrival of the Poxus wave, but it's impossible they are able to do that. But let's show you how it looks.
I don't know. We'll see how long it's in the port. But yeah. Oh, look at that. I love the flicker too.
Yeah, because the tea light flicking, no?
Yeah. So it's beautiful.
So what I glow everything. There is a real woods for the fire, no? I put the real ashes for the fire because I have fireplace in my house. Actually, I have 4 fireplace in my house. No,
4.
Yes, because I have a big house, 3 floor of the house.
Okay.
No?
And is that how you heat? Is that the heating for your home?
Yeah. I have also the typical what is the name in English for this stuff? The stuff they use to have to heat your house, to have a warm.
Like a furnace or a heater.
I have the normal furniture to have a good temperature in the winter, but I don't remember what is the name of this stuff. The stuff with the water inside, everybody having out in the house there.
A hot water heater or a furnace?
Yes, probably furnace is the right word. But I have also a fireplace. So you have a fireplace in my bedroom, a fireplace in the kitchen, a fireplace in my toy room. It's a big fireplace. And I have also a fireplace in another floor. There is another kitchen. Actually, is the floor they use my mother when sometimes go to me, no? Because my mother have another house and another house with her boyfriend, actually. So, but because I lost my father into 2020, and 2 years ago, my mother found a new man. I'm happy for her because like that she's not sad like before. No, this is the life.
Yeah.
So we go totally random, but it's typical of Mr. Anna. As I said last episode,
Right.
one of the few last episode with Brian Flynn. This is also a random show, no?
Good. Very good. No,
But I
that's
like
good.
that because it's like to explore all. There's no, it's a way to talk with each other. Also, in the same time, to opt some days, one days in the future, to meet in person each other. No?
Yes, I hope so. You need to come to Legion's Con.
I don't know if I'm frozen. Looks like I'm frozen.
Your picture was frozen there for a moment, but I could still hear you.
Now I move. Let's see. Let's do some dance. Yeah, that's the dance.
Yeah.
In the end of the show, there is some dancing stuff about me, but in the really end of the show.
Okay. Awesome.
However, we go back to your beautiful artwork. But I need to what is the next in my schedule because I was really. Oh yes, yeah, we stay in the Jacob Marley. Jacob, come on, Alan, says Jacob. You're a freaking Italian dude, but come on, Jacob is the real pronunciation.
If you're speaking in English, it would be Jacob. Yes.
Jacob, I wanna to be better in English. There is different step to me. The first step was watch wrestling, my basic English. Second step, watch fellow YouTubers, to learn more English. And now I start to watching movie in English to have a better English because my project as a writer to do English version of my book. So when I will do the promotion, I need to be better with my English. No?
Yeah. Are you going to do an
move.
audio? Are you going to read the audio version of your book? Are you going to do an audio version?
I don't know. Audio version it will be tough to me. I do an audio version of my book.
Yeah. You'd have to take care of your voice. That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, but also because when I start to pronounce English, my English become worst. I don't know why. If I speech is another stuff. If I speak is decent, not good, but decent, my pronunciation. But for example, if I try to read that, let's see, speaking of Jacob Marley, if I try to read, let's put on the screen, the story, let's see how sounds bad my English. Let's show you.
No,
Not so much in audience as in a surprise and fear for one of the raising of the hand, he becomes sensible of confused noses in the air. So sounds really bad, my English when I read, no?
Well, there's a few words you can fine tune a little bit, but you're doing great. I think you're doing you're speaking much better English than I would speak Italian.
Yeah, the same words that told me same words that told me Brian Flynn every time we talk about that. But I say the same thing to you, as I mentioned with Brian before. How much you speak Italian? Maybe you know one or two words, so that doesn't mean that my English is good.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good. And I don't know if you remember, but I also speak French, and that was.
Yeah, you told me that.
I remember the way you described speaking English for a long time, that it gets worse. I felt like my French would get that way near the end of the day because you use a different set of muscles in your mouth when you're speaking different languages.
Yeah, French especially.
Yeah, so I remember my mouth would get pretty tired by the end of the day, and I'm sure my French was just all kinds of mush by the end. So, yeah.
Because actually my grandmother, the mother of my grandfather, was British.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned American English. Yeah. First of all, I need to convince my publisher to do an English version of my new novel that will be released in February. First of all, the goal to have this novel available on Amazon in English. But let's move to your artwork, man. So tell me something about this desperate soul, this ghost, the cover.
The ghosts. The
I
ghosts
recognize some faces, by the way.
Yeah, you're going to recognize some of those, and that was on purpose and for fun, for a whole lot of fun, actually. I mean, it mainly started out in some ways what I had done. I was talking with someone at DesignerCon about this. I handled the illustrating of all the different characters in Red Death. I did that differently than I typically do. I just treated it as light and dark, as in just lights and just shadows. And so when I went to do the ghosts here, I kind of took that same approach. It's hard to see here because they're just on a black background. But when you see them overlaid on top of the city scene, then you can see that there's some translucency to them. But I didn't want to have I didn't want to play up the whole, I'm working in a computer, so I can just adjust the opacity and make them actually transparent. I wanted to instead to have them have more of a kind of a, I guess the way I would imagine real ghosts kind of appearing, where somehow you're just seeing the light that hits them, but then the shadow falls off transparent. And when I know that we'll be talking about some of the Red Death art too, but when I went to do the characters for the 7 deadly sins or the 7 vices on the interior of that, I only illustrated their shadows. And then they had just a flat color of red behind them. And then I went and hit it later with just a rim light. Whereas with the ghosts and with Red Death himself, it was opposite. I only illustrated where the light was, which was just kind of a fun practice for me as an illustrator. It's probably just a good thing to do as an artist from time to time as far as studying goes, because it really forces you to see where shadows hit or where light hits. And I'd heard it said too, and I kind of agree with this on some levels of, if you're doing an illustration, pick either the light or the shadow and render that, and don't worry about the other. So if you're rendering all the tones in the shadows, then do that, but ignore the lights wherever the highlights are, and just blow it out and let it be white or whatever color the light source would be. And then opposite, you could flip that and do the opposite. You can, and you see this most of the time in comic books where much of where the light is hitting, it's rendered, and then it drops off to shadow and it's just left black. And so with these ghosts, I treated it that way, where I just had one brush with one color, and that's how they started. And then once I was done with that, then I would hit it with a generic wash of another color here and there. But that teal color that they're largely composed of, I just basically did that. And then they all had to have chains. These are the tortured souls that Marley is showing Ebenezer. And at one point I was watching the Forest Horsemen o'clock with Chris and George, and I was just admiring how George's beard was at the time, because he had those big giant mutton chops growing. And I was like, well, I'm just going to put George in there. And then once I put George in, I was like, well, fine. Then I'll put Chris in there. And then when I did Chris, I was like, okay, let's do Sherry. And it was about that point when I showed Jeremy, and I was like, hey, by the way, I'm doing a thing here. And I showed him Sherry, and he was like, hey. And then of course I had to put Jeremy in there, just largely because I love Jeremy as a friend, and I know that this is his favorite character.
Yeah.
Like when he and when we were talking about this, I could just really feel from him that Jacob Marley is one of his most favorite characters of all time, largely because of what he's able to do and the redemption that's involved there, and just the whole redemption of the story. It all starts with Marley, kind of a thing. So it was cool. So I was like, well, Jeremy then has to be in there. So, and it was a lot of fun. And like I've said it before, the rest of the studio will eventually get their due as well, somewhere at some time, on some packaging, wherever we find it, wherever I kind of find it appropriate to put them.
Should be cool. Should be cool. Do action figure of them now.
That would be fun. I'm sure Chris would love a nice blue ghostly version of himself as an action figure. I think that he would probably enjoy that immensely.
Yeah, let's see Chris Ghost version.
Yeah, and it's funny because for most of their faces, I just found like their photos on Facebook. I didn't go far to find stuff, and I found one shot of Chris where he's yelling like that. I don't know who he was yelling at or what he was yelling, but I was like, this is going to be good. Maybe some studio adjacent. Maybe so. Because I was a studio adjacent fellow for many years.
Or maybe some YouTuber to support the line.
There you go. You never know who will show up. As a studio, we love doing that. We love doing the homage figures for like Waltor or Sir Gerard, and there have been others there, and that goes way back. I mean, that goes back to the McFarlane days, really. So it's a lot of fun to do.
So now it's time to watch a stop motion and cover another topic of the show.
Awesome.
I'm inside a castle, a so strange castle, a little bit creepy. There's no one right here. I need to find a way to go outside, and I don't want to stay there. I don't know. There is a door. It's open. There we go. No, it's closed by. What happened? It's an out. Oh, take a look. Take a look. This grandfather clock. It's creepy. It's weird. No, there is something weird. No. Please. What happened? No, the blood. What is the blood? What is this blood? I don't know. What is? Oh no, please no.
I feel like it's so wrong when we see that wonderful piece of animation. Then we cut to us, and I'm sitting with this giant grin on my face. I should be terrified because that was terrifying, but that was so cool.
Maybe it was the creepiest. I did also some with the Halloween figure. One of the creepiest stop motion that I already did. Let's shout out some guys, some supporter of the channel on the chat. So Rock Pig John, a solid fan for Horsemen, are the best sculptor in the toy industry today. I think everybody collecting agrees at the statement. Alan, I'm totally agree. The Horsemen studio are family friends to me, so you know that. Thank you, Rick Jones, to enjoys that. Rob Zamora, hey yo, hey ho. Yeah. You need to don't sleep, Trevor, because since 2021, I still wait to have a only show of your episode on your show with only me. Come on, so this is for you. This goes.
You two should, yeah. There should be a crossover between.
Yeah, it's time to a crossover. Come on,
you guys.
And this is also a serious message to many other guests that you have on my show. They have their own show. So come on, guys. So crazy dioramas, thank you, Rick Jones. Now let's move in your artwork of Red Death. You touch a little bit before that, but we go deep inside in these 7 actually character, yep. I believe.
Yeah, the 7 deadly sins it was my idea. That is not in any way, shape, or form a part of Poe's story of the Red Death. The Mask of the Red Death, I should say. I wanted to first of all, I had read the story. I'd listened to it numerous times. I listened to Christopher Lee narrate it. You can search it on YouTube, and I highly recommend you do so.
I love Christopher Lee.
Yeah. So he reads The Mask of the Red Death, and something about the way he described the tenets of Prince Prospero's party, it just, to me, it's all about the decadence of it, the pride of the time of the rich and the elite kind of escaping the plague themselves, or thinking that they can escape it. And so it just kind of made sense for me that Yeah, I think all 7 of those sins would probably be present in this party. So I just symbolically, knowing it was a masquerade ball, I kind of had some fun, and I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole to um, to pick out. I mean, the colors that Poe describes in each of the rooms can also somewhat correlate or loosely correlate with the various different vices, and so I just played on all of that. Sloth, and then the animals that, like, all of the masks that they wear are symbolic of the animals that are also tied to those vices, kind of a thing. So it was just fun to kind of take a screen grab of, or just a moment in that story of describing the party and the type of people that would be there. And I thought, why not? Why not just go all out with the 7 deadly sins? So I just leaned heavily into it.
I like the guy with the bear mask in the background.
Yeah, the sloth.
Yeah.
That would be me. That's you can even see a bit of my beard in there. So yeah, I would just be sitting back in my chair, asleep at the party. That would be me.
Yeah, Eric Jones was the best, Christopher Lee, and Sean Holmes, sorry if I pronounce it incorrect before the name, crossover between me and other guests that I had in the show before. And did you see the Mask of the Red Death movie with Vincent Price?
Yes, I did. I actually did take the time to watch that.
It's awesome, that one.
Yeah, I don't know how much it influenced necessarily the artwork, other than it was just nice to get into that mode. Plus, I mean, Vincent Price I love his stuff. I have a strong nostalgia for a lot of his work.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun to, with the Mask of the, actually with most all of the Figure Obscura, I like to take a fair amount of time and just kind of research. And when I say a fair amount of time, it can range anywhere from a few days to a week. Of literally, I'm just going to watch movies. I'm going to read the story. I'm going to I'm going to go down rabbit holes on the internet and just try to find what I can find. And it's just so that I can have fun with it. It is educational. I want it to be educational, I guess. I come from a background where in a previous life, I worked at Imagine Learning, where it was doing children's educational content. And a lot of that was literary. A lot of it was reading. And so I would, I just learned that, take the time to research it. The more research you can do, the better and more appropriate the ideas will be for the artwork that you're going to need to produce. And so that's what I did.
I like also this illustration that you did for the mini comic, that I should say mini book, because I like to have a mini book with the story also.
Yeah, a little mini booklet. I think Jeremy has a word for it, and I think it's something booklet, if I'm remembering correctly, like Figura booklets. I don't know. It's definitely something we're going to try to do moving forward with any time it makes sense, and any time that it's referencing something as literary as Poe or as Dickens, we want to try to do that.
Tell me something about this illustration that you did.
This is absolutely a straight up nod to the Black Plague. So you have a plague doctor on a wagon that's clearly full of probably deceased human bodies. And then you have the flames of, burning, it had to be a gruesome time. It's how to deal with a plague when you have such little knowledge scientifically on how to deal with it. It had to, like Edgar Allan's poem, Mask of the Red Death, I think it's fair to say that it very much is a commentary on the Black Plague. And so I just wanted to throw that in there myself, because it parallels and it just made sense. And it was a fun opportunity also for me to just, those plague doctor masks are just some of the creepiest things in the world. So it was fun to throw that in there.
Well, I like also that you do something really detailed also about the windows in the in the background edifice that I believe looks like a church, something like that. I believe.
Yeah, it's the Abbey. It's I did take reference from, I can't remember which Abbey it was, but it was funny because it actually had 7 windows in a row. And I thought, well, that's perfect because that was the 7 different rooms. And so, and yeah, I just kind of played it up there. But in my mind, this illustration is Prince Prospero's Abbey, where his party was held.
When I do the review for this figure, I watch this beautiful artwork, and I saw also the movie with Vincent Price. Was interesting because literature, art, action figures, art in general, in general looks like this is like a different world, between the real life. Like as a writer, every time that I do a novel, I feel that I dream during the writing process, especially in the first draft of the novel.
Mhm.
But in this case, this story remember me also something that happened to us not so far ago. I talk about the pandemic stuff. You think about that a little bit when you touch this concept. Also, also even is literature.
Mhm.
It's interesting. Also have this different feeling now about this story.
It is, yeah. It becomes a part of you in many ways. It kind of has to. Yeah, it's so. Like I said, I devote time in researching. I want to make sure that I'm honoring the material. Like I don't want to just phone it in. You know what I mean? I want to be able to put my name on it. I want the Horsemen to be proud of the work that is done for it, because for the company, and likewise, I care about the end result of the user that gets the piece. I want them to feel like what they have in their hand has some legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
So I do. I take it seriously.
Let's see some question. Let's see also some message in the chat. Something that doesn't, I don't know, open something that on my computer that. Okay.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Sometimes
Your visual is frozen, but I can hear you. Are you looking at?
Yes, I see in my other device. I see. Let's see. I put on the screen your art for a minute, or maybe not this one, but because I see that we both frozen now in the other device. Maybe I need to move the modem, because probably if I put the mod in a different place, work better. Let's see. Just a second.
It looked like we got a spoiler there to what we'll be talking about shortly.
Yeah, but it's not a really spoiler because it was mentioned in the description of the video. So
True. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the things. I like what Trevor said here. It's better than what some have said, that it corresponds to the stages of life. I remember coming across that and thinking, maybe. And maybe with the Red Death and the Black Plague and the parable that could be found there, maybe I did that. I don't know. But it was definitely something that stuck out to me, was that correspondence between the two plagues. Well, the made-up plague and the real plague. And then Rob, let's see. It looks like you said, do you ever get an artist version writer's block with my art? I do. It does happen. Yeah. It sucks when it happens. I hate it when it happens. It's the worst thing in the world. Are you there?
I never had a writer block so far.
You've never had writer's block?
No.
That's awesome.
I have the inverse problem. I have too many ideas, too much ideas. No.
I mean,
there is. Sorry, I go on you.
Oh, that's okay.
Because, for example, in a folder on my computer, I have probably idea for other 40 novels. So far, I'm working my novel number 40. So it's crazy.
That's awesome.
A comment from Rick Jones. I can't wait for the next Figura Obscura. I hope they do more literary characters. Me too. From Lovecraft should be awesome. Absolutely.
Lovecraft would be cool. I honestly can't confirm anything that's in the works. I want to keep my job, but
yeah.
that would be awesome. Like there would be some really cool stuff there to pull from. But going back to the writer's block, yes, it does happen, and usually the way I have to get out of it is to just force yourself to work, essentially. Because in a lot of instances, I would say that when you feel that you are being blocked, if you'll put forth the discipline to say, I'm still going to show up to work and do my job, more often than not, as you're working, the problems can start to solve themselves and you start to get into that flow again. So that's probably, I would imagine that could be similar to writers as well. I don't know, I'm not a writer, but I know that any creative person, there are absolutely days when you're exhausted or maybe you're getting burned out or something, and it's just not coming to you the way you think it should be coming to you, the way it normally does. So it's just get in there, keep going.
For example, when I performed as a singer in my show at the time, sometimes I forgot the lyrics of my own song, for my song.
Yeah.
So what I do is create a brand new lyric live. It's the only way to escape.
Yeah, you improvise, right?
Yeah.
And that's a form of creation. It's still a valid creative piece. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Okay. There is another related, the second part of the question by Rob is that.
Has it ever happened when you need it? Yeah, totally does. If it sucks before, it really sucks when you know you have a deadline. And in those instances when it does happen, sometimes it helps to just talk it through with a friend or a coworker. And sometimes it helps to just, like I said, you still show up and you still do your job. And the other thing too is if I'm coming up onto a deadline, honestly, at that point in the game, you already know what needs to be done. Like the sketches are done, the stuff is laid out. You you have the direction already of where you're going. At that point, it's just making sure that you're wrapping it up the way it should be wrapped up. I guess
I know deadline is pretty tough, especially in my case. This novel that will be released, the first of the trilogy in February, in the origin was only one novel. But because if I released that novel only one, was like 600 pages, and that scared my publisher. So they told me on 1 month I transformed like a Transformers, more than misty eyes. I transformed my book in 3 books. It was tough. It was like to play with the cube. What is the cube of Rubik? No, you change the color.
Yeah, the Rubik's cube. Yeah.
Yes, was crazy that.
That's
especially with the deadline with 1 month.
Yeah, I know.
But let's move for another awesome Arthur masterpiece of yours that there is a big hype from Motu fan, your Revolution poster. Tell me something about it, because there is a lot of going on in the poster.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah, this was in many ways it was similar to the first season or Revelation. What I had established already with Revelation when I was talking with Netflix, they very much had said we'd like to do something with a similar level of epicness, I guess. I think that first one that I did, I'll be honest, I had a little more time, and so I was able to just cram it full of figures and characters, and I would have loved to have done more for this one. However, I also love where this one finished. I love the amount of characters that are there, and I like how focused it is. I mean, it very much is. It's very clearly magic versus technology in many ways, and I think that that's a theme that we'll see throughout that show. It very much is set up at the end of Revelation that magic is kind of going by the wayside in Eternia, and technology is going to be the big villain to try to take over. The Horde is very much involved. I have to be careful about what I can say and not say with this one.
I think that the poster says a lot, because we see Granamir, new Granamir version. We see the Castle of Grayskull with bat wings. We see Ordak. There is a lot going on. Speaking of the storytelling.
Yeah, this was interesting because they let me review the series. So I've already seen it. No, I'm not going to give anything away. But
please don't do that. Don't spoil, please, because I want to see.
No spoilers. But I was actually amazed at the amount of things they let me do. For example, with Tila, I didn't know what they had plans for in terms of their trailers, and so it did a lot of this, and a lot of what you see here does correspond with what you see already in the trailers. So that makes more sense to me now from this perspective. But when I was working on it, when I saw that Tila becomes the Green Goddess, I was just like, man, I have to do this. Like, I have to. How could I not? And if you know me, and if you know my history with Masters of the Universe, I happen to have an affinity for the Green Goddess. Who is it, Sean? To answer your question, where is She-Ra? Can't answer that for you, man. Sorry, can't answer that. Other than what is already publicly known, in that there are absolutely licensing issues at play still here with all of this. So you have to keep that in mind. But I was amazed at, when I was talking about the characters with the guys at Netflix on how to portray it onto the thing. It was amazing how open they were. There are definitely some things I had to avoid. There are definitely things that are not in this poster that's going to happen in the series. That's really compelling and really cool to see play out. Sorry to be cryptic about it, but as much as there is that is revealed on this poster, there's still, all I'm saying is that there's still a lot more to the show that's going to be pretty fun to explore.
Yeah. There is a lot of reveals in the poster, however, I think. Because if you watch the character involved, I'm honest with you and to everybody. I think that I like more the storytelling of the series than the actual figure. I don't collect Masterverse. I started collecting the cartoon collection of Origins because I'm a Filmation guy.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm not super happy because they are not really accurate. And the design of Masterverse figures, they look too much toys. I prefer the old Club Grayskull classes, but is my opinion, obviously. But for the story,
yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You say something when I talk.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I agree with that opinion. Yeah, there are some things that I do like about the Masterverse and the show figures. They're getting better, but my preferences still lie with the classics.
Yeah, the classics looks more piece of art, no? And Club Grayskull were more accurate. The Club Grayskull from SuperShow with Horsemen together were more accurate than this new cartoon Origins line that I collect because I love Filmation, but I'm not super happy for that. I'm honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But however, I'm looking for the Trevor.
Trevor. Can't answer any of this stuff.
I think it's more smart the of Trevor.
And then
no
Sean
or Zodak.
Sean, I know you're picking, you're poking. I want to keep my job, man.
So you are a full-time member of the Horsemen studio, but you still working also for Motu?
On and off, not as much as I was a few years ago. Because believe me, the schedule at Four Horsemen Studios it's more than full time. I would say, like I put in more than 40 hours a week for sure. And it's okay. That's not a complaint or a slight in any way, shape, or form. I love the work that I have to do, and I love the people that I work with there. They're family to me. They're lifelong friends for me as well. And I absolutely love the work that I get to do. So it's not a complaint in any way, shape, or form, but I definitely put in more than I would at any other normal 9 to 5er.
He answered before the question, Rob. So you watched already the series.
Yes. Yeah. And in fact, some of the poses that you see in the poster are lifted straight from the cartoon as much as I can. I mean, you know, it's an animated thing, and there's the animated style, and I try to keep true to the animated style when I do this poster. But I also know that I was hired because I'm me, and so I'm also injecting a little bit of myself and my style into the poster as well. At the same time as honoring the animation that is there and the style. Like Powerhouse does an amazing job with their design. Whether you like their designs or not, it's a personal preference. I totally get that, but regardless, I look at the work that they pour into it, and I look at the passion of what they do, and the ideas that come out of their heads, and some of the ideas that they have for the designs on this stuff. They're amazing artists as well, and I really love and respect their work, and so I want to make sure that I'm honoring that in the poster as well.
I have an idea. When the show will be officially released and I watch everything, we can go back together and share some opinion, a feeling and emotion about the story. So like we did, I believe we did something similar
I think
about
so.
the first season.
That rings familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about something about the first season. It was really cool. And now it's time for the random part of the show. In the random part of the show, we are here to know better the real life of Nate Baertsch, his inspiration, what he liked in his life, and maybe something about you, about me, if you want. So, tell me something about. We know that you are a visual artist. So, do you have favorite artists? Not only related with cartoon and these wars, but also related in the ancient time, like favorite sculptor, what is the English name to the architect? Architect, I believe. Architect, sculptor, painter. What is your favorite artist in this type of world?
I'm going to cheat just a little bit. Some of you know that I am a little bit religious, so a lot of times I'll just say God is my favorite artist. and that is admittedly a bit of a cheat, but it's also true. Like I love being outside. I love seeing what is in my mind the creation, as it were. I love animals. I love nature. I love trees. I like watching nature documentaries. And I know that's kind of a boring answer, but there's a lot of truth to that. Because I mean, if you really stop and look at life, and when you really stop and look at what's around us and how it looks and how its form and function all flow together, regardless what your beliefs are, life is beautiful. And that's a true statement of whatever your belief is. Whether you believe or whether you don't believe, it's fine. But we can all at least probably agree that life is beautiful when you stop and you look at it and you stop and you experience it. But the answer that you're probably looking for, other artists that I look to, I spent 2 years of my life in France when I was younger, and I gained a healthy love and respect for both impressionistic art as well as Art Nouveau styling.
Oh, cool.
I really, there are certain flares that honestly I could go back and look at, but I mean, I think you see that a little bit in my artwork. You can see that. I mean, there are artists that can really meticulously and very beautifully capture perfect photography like artwork. I applaud you. That's an incredible skill to develop, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm more interested in color, shape and emotion. I'm more interested in storytelling, that kind of a thing. And if I can do it, if I can invoke those feelings as you look at the piece, then I feel like I'm being successful. And I know that I struggle with that from time to time. Like there are pieces that I look at and I go, what was I thinking? I didn't hit that at all, you know? And then there are people that'll disagree with me and they definitely feel something for which I'm grateful. But that is, yeah, I love Impressionism. I loved how many of those painters could sit on a hillside while a storm was rolling in and actually capture the energy of that storm coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Impressionism is a type of art that give you the impression, actually, the impression of what they see, what they
Exactly.
saw, actually. So it's a good way to give you the vibes. Obviously, in Impressionism, we are different artists because Degas is different than Monet, for example. No? So
Absolutely.
I think, for example, I have a little bit of criticism about the critics of art because they put together in the same school different type of artists that are different. So I
Yeah.
don't trust in general about the role of the critics, the people that critics the art, because the only the artist, in my opinion, can understand what they do during the moment of the creation.
Yeah.
Every other words, they're not objective words about the art. They are only subjective words, no, because there are the feeling that what do you feel about the art.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, Rick, I
Rick
think that Nate loved Franzetta, no questions about it.
both of those artists right there. Yeah. I have books on, I have multiple Frank Frazetta books and I have multiple Alfonso Mucha books.
Speaking of art in the modern modern tooling of art, movies, etc. I love William Stout. William Stout is
Yeah.
great. It was
Yeah.
2 times on my show, William Stout. We did almost 3 hours of show every time. It was cool. Super
He's
generous
cool.
guy.
Yeah.
So another authentic guy, like Tim Burton,
Mhm.
for example.
Yep.
What is your favorite director? Speaking of movie,
Favorite directors. I
yeah.
don't know that I think about it all that much. I mean, I like what I like. It's clear. You look around my office. There's enough. Well, it's hard to see in this image, but I've got a lot of Star Wars stuff. So I really liked. You could say I like Lucas, but I also really, really like. And I'm just blanking. Irving. He directed Empire. I really loved his approach to Empire Strikes Back. And it was a lot about emotion and character and mood and soul. I think that in many ways a lot of people look at Empire Strikes Back and Irving Kershner, that's the name, it just came to me. Really like his stuff a lot. But I'm not the guy that like geeks out on movie stuff, so I don't like go back. I honestly couldn't tell you that I've gone back and watched previous pieces of Kershner's work. Maybe I should do that sometime. I do enjoy.
If I love a director, I watch all movie of this director because like everything, I like to know everything about the artist, everything that he did for the favorite writers, favorite directors, same things. No, I like go deep inside on his world, and then I move to other stuff. Same of music. When, for
Yeah.
example, Sinead O'Connor passed away, I listened all his stuff, and she was great, by the way.
Yeah. We were talking about him earlier. You could say Jim Henson for me. I love Jim Henson stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? He directed the vast majority of all the Muppet stuff, and I loved it. Nolan, early Tarantino. Yeah, it's good stuff. I do like Nolan stuff actually a lot. And Burton. I actually quite enjoy a lot of Burton's work, and I like a lot of Nolan's pieces. His movies. Nolan is one that if I see his name attached to it, I'm like, yeah, I want to go check that out just because he was attached to it.
Yes, it's great. Nolan.
I do enjoy stuff.
I like Nolan, Tim Burton. I like David Lynch also. David Lynch.
Ridley
David
Scott. I actually like a lot of Ridley Scott stuff.
Ridley Scott. I love also Martin Scorsese is good also to me. Brian De Palma, the Coen brothers also I love.
Coen Brothers, good, yeah. But directors, again, I know that they do a lot, but I do focus more on the artists, the art teams behind things as well. Yeah.
And your favorite? What is your?
I would say that Ralph McQuarrie is another one of those that was heavily influential for me. Like his work is. I don't know if our world really fully appreciates Ralph McQuarrie's work the way we should. Like when we stop and look at what he did and how he did it, and the world that he came from and why he illustrated the way he did, it's impressive. It's really, really impressive.
When you work, do you listen music? And overall, what is your favorite music artist that you like in music?
You're gonna laugh. I listen to a variety of things. I love movie soundtracks. I love classical music. I like a lot of Grieg. I like a lot of Gustav Holst's stuff. Gustav Holst also influenced John Williams. I love John Williams's work.
Thomas Newman, do you like the soundtrack of Thomas Newman?
Yes.
It's great. I listen a lot of Thomas. When I write, during my writing stuff, I listen a lot of Thomas Newman's piece.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a really, really good one. So, I mean, as far as classical stuff, I like it because I like it especially for stuff when I'm on a deadline and I have to just crunch and go. Like I just have to get the work done, which is honestly frequently. But I love classical music because there are no lyrics attached. And it's just that perfect blend of melodies and things to let my brain kind of chew on that in the background while I also I feel like my brain needs a couple things to chew on while I'm producing artwork as well. If I'm not listening to music, I'm not as productive, frankly. So yeah, I like to put the music on. And then also it's really silly, but I listen to a lot of stuff that I grew up with. So like 80s music. You know, and it can range anywhere from the stuff that I listened to when I was in high school and in junior high, to even just the standard pop of that day. I find that, you know what, I'm okay jamming to this stuff now. It's funny because as a kid, you wouldn't have caught me dead listening to it. But for whatever reason, as an adult, because it reminds me of that day, I want to listen to it. And I want to enjoy
the 80s. Some of the art is still good. Also today, the first name that comes up in my mind is Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel is fantastic.
The last album of Peter Gabriel, and he released one by one a song on YouTube for each month of 2023. Is a masterpiece. I.O. is the name. It's beautiful, beautiful.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check it out. We got Trevor is agreeing that McQuarrie is responsible for the look of sci-fi in the 20th century and beyond. Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Yes, also Trevor, I listened the Lord of the Rings soundtrack when I work in my stuff or my long Mythic Legions Castle project. Is just a fireplace. When I do this work, my free time. So when I free time from while writing, in my YouTube stuff, I do that. And I listen only Lord of the Rings stuff to go inside. This was also because they collect also Lord Diamond Select Toys, Lord of the Rings figures, great figure by the way. So because of that, I'm in this world. Mythic Legions is the same. So I'm more fantasy than sci-fi actually. But now to explore another side of my fellow artists and friends. Speaking of, tell me something about Nate as a reader. What is your favorite writers?
Favorite writers? Yeah. Probably comic book writers. I love a lot of Miller's stuff. I love Tolkien. Absolutely love Tolkien. Yeah. Like if So if I need to go to a happy place, I will listen to or read Lord of the Rings. I just will. It's interesting because it's something that my mom wanted me to read so badly when I was a kid, because she knows how good reading is for you. And
Yeah.
I'm going to sound like an infomercial on reading, because reading is a beautiful, amazing thing that you have to be doing for your mind and for your education. You have to read.
Yeah. As a writer, I need to reading. A writer need to reading, because to learn all writing, there is only two way: reading and writing. No
Yep.
school of writing, that just shit. But
Yep.
reading and writing is the only way to become a good writer.
Yeah.
And I have many favorite writers, actually. I love Murakami. Is a Japanese writer, really good, a visionary. Haruki Murakami is the name. I love Philip Roth. I love Stephen King, Peter Straub, Dennis Lehane. So I like many writers.
Yeah. Neil Gaiman is another one that
Yeah.
in my adult life, I'm learning to love more and more. I was actually, I mean, I always kind of loosely knew of his stuff through comic books and whatnot. But it was when I read his Norse mythology book, Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology, I was like, this guy's amazing. Like, Norse mythology is a trick to kind of get a grasp around. But the way he approached it and the way he wrote it, and then to find his stuff along the way, that I'm like, oh, yeah, Gaiman stuff. There you go. That makes sense why it's so great. Agreed on Robert E. Howard. Also, Edgar Allan Poe, obviously. No, Princess of Mars, Tarzan. Why am I blanking on this?
I mean, I'm Blink too, so we are on the same page.
We're blanking on the same thing. It's fluffy stuff, and the dude was incredibly racist. Racist. I mean, he's a product of his time on one degree. Burroughs, Edgar Rice Burroughs.
And
I'm botching names left and right. So I apologize.
Because we are both blinking the same things. I wanna move the conversation in other stuff.
Okay.
I start to myself to go to yourself to understand if the same for you. As a writer, years ago, I'm writing like a method every day, 6 hours with only one day off. In the end of the day, I did like 12 pages on my book, no? And now I change a little bit. I discover if I work only 4 hours, 3 or 4 every day, I can do 9 pages and stay more focused and do the same velocity almost, no? So I think the most important is not the number of time that you spend, but what I can say that the more power that you put in your work, no? And you can be faster in less hours. I discovered that. Now in 3-4 hours, I can write 9 pages, for example, because I'm more focused than writing 6 hours. And when you become tired, your concentration, your focus, you're less focused because you start to be tired. In 3-4 hours, I can do 9 good pages. I discovered that recently. What is your relationship, if I can say that, with the time and quantity of your works? You find a good way to a balance to don't be tired of your work and to do a good amount of work every day?
Time and me and deadlines in general. And if Chris were here, he would tell you that this is 100% true, what I'm about to say. I am awful. Like, me and time do not get along. Like, I don't understand it. And the more I try to understand it, the worse I get at it. So I agree with you in that I'm happier and I produce better when I have a better balance in my life, if that makes sense. And I think that's kind of what you were alluding to as well, that if you could take time to step away and to kind of recharge whatever it is within us creatively we have to recharge, that we can come to the table and attack the projects with better time, I guess.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, too, it still takes me there are some things I still have to be able to kind of somewhat accurately gauge my deadlines and what I can do in a time. But then there are also pieces. A good example is actually this shirt I'm wearing. Here we go. So I talked about this on Jeremy's show, producing the artwork, the two main art pieces for the Legion's Con exclusives. I had spent a lot of time on the wall tour pieces, and by a lot of time, it was about a week that it took me to paint the two wall tour pieces. And then by the time I got to doing the Vorgus Vermilius piece, it was like I only had a day left, and they needed it. Like the factory needed it, or else I was going to throw off Legion's Con. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that jerk. I don't want to be and it's also hard for me because my stuff comes at the end of production. Like I'm one of the last pieces to come in, and for the factory to really finish up everything. And so I very much am in a very risky spot because I can throw the deadline, and I don't want to. That's not my desire. I don't like getting slapped by Chris. I don't like getting yelled at by my bosses or anything like that. I don't like Jeremy coming after me and telling me what I need to cut because it just needs to get done. So we're doing a lot of things in the studio to kind of offset that. Like we're pushing my deadlines back even further so that I'm not risking that as much. I've forgotten what the whole question was even about, but essentially time. Yeah. And I saw Trevor's comment. I think time management is a problem for many artists. And that's true because when you're feeling it, you're going and it happens and it works. And then there are times you'll work on a project and it just comes together and it's beautiful. And I love it when that happens, but that is not every project, nor should we expect it to be every project that way. I mean, it would be a perfect and a lovely world if it was, but every single painting that you do comes with its own set of challenges and problems that you need to solve. And there are a lot of things that come into play, even yourself and emotionally. Like if you're dealing with your own emotions on any given thing of whatever it is that life throws at you that makes you have the emotions that you have or that you're dealing with, you still have to deal with that stuff and you still have to deal with the deadline. And
to me, the good things, if I have a dealing with different type of emotion in my life, I can put that in the novel. No, so this is a good way to get inspiration for that.
My mom actually said that one time. I remember being very, very young, and she said, because she's also an artist, she said some of her best work came to her through some of the most emotionally intensive times in her life, when she was the most angry or the most sad or whatever it was, whatever she was having to deal with. If she could pick up the paintbrush or a pencil and just get to work, it was really good stuff.
You told me something. I'm really familiar with that because this actual novel, it's a trilogy of novel, was made since 2020. 2020, I believe 2020 was the year. Because I'm fast as a writer when I do that. In 2 months, I could do the first or the second draft of the novel. And I started that after the passing of my father. So it was in a really difficult moment also because when the death touch your life, you are confused a little bit, no? And absolutely. I didn't know at that time what I did with this novel. And I think in some way, this novel that I mentioned before the show is also a novel about the afterlife in some way, but was something that was not intentional, okay? Because every my novel touch after something after the reality. No, I'm a visionary. There is a lot of supernatural. There is a lot of I don't know if a good word to say that. There is also love and also sex. I'm honest with you in my novel. There is everything because I don't censor my story. Because maybe someone can say, why you put that in your book? Because the story is like that. You don't need to. You don't. If you censor your book, your story, you destroy your story. So you need to put everything: love, good emotional, bad person in the story, killer, ghost, everything. If the story needs that, every type of color, dark and light. However, speaking of balance, speaking of managing of time, my big problem was since I believe this fall, balance my work as a YouTuber, I work as a writer.
Mhm.
And because before I had two channels, now only this one, I had two channels since from June 2022 to last November. I stopped writing because I hadn't time to that. No, I didn't have time for that. Now I go back to writing because for this channel it was too much obsessed a little bit for a while. I did a lot of toy news. And honest with you, do a lot of toy news is not creative. It's like to be a robot, no video after video after video. It was and when I do my trip, when I walk, because I am forever grateful to you because in my first interview with you, you told me a good advice for the back pain. You told me walk,
Yeah.
and did that now. And when I walk last summer in the morning, I miss writing. And so, Anna, what are you doing now? You do a lot of stuff to YouTube, but you forget to write and use your main things now as an artist. But because I struggled to find a new publisher at the time. I said, well, I have almost 40 novels, and not a publisher published only 5 novels. I was frustrated a little bit, no? If I saw that, I told that also with my girlfriend sometimes. If I dead right now and everybody publish my novel, there is novel every year for over 30 years almost, no? But now that I got to novels, these writers forced me to rewrite the story in 3 books. I go back to a novel that I was incomplete since June 2022. It was crazy to me because I'm a guy that can write 2 novels every year, no? So now I find a good balance. In this channel, I do own reviews, interviews for 2 news. I try to do more concentrated, stop motion, something more creative, and I prefer that. So I have more time, more spot for my writing stuff because writing is my life. When I'm writing, also music, but I quit a little bit on music because I was a professional musician in Italy. I was a little bit famous. But when you lost the opportunity, also because the music business is really bad, really, really awful, bad. The people in Italy, is garbage. The Italian current music is garbage. Is really bad. Out there in US, you have something good. In UK, they have something good. Today in Italy, the music is bad. So the writing actually was a way to escape this nightmare, no, of the businessman. But at the same time, I got important friends because there are many famous artists love me because of my music or my writing stuff. But the problem is the producer. They doesn't understand a visionary. It's like the story of because that I love the story like Jim Henson, Tim Burton, or David Lynch, or Stephen King as well, because they are visionary and they find because of their determination, no, they find a way to live with their art. Because the most important thing for an artist is transform your passion in a job and live with that. Because to me, it is just my personal opinion. When an artist do another job, to me, it's like to be only a shadow of myself. I don't want that. Come on. I prefer have less money, but do only stuff that they love, that they want, and that they like.
Excuse me.
No problem, man. Which type of beer do you drink there?
This is actually, it's not beer. Well, it is beer. It's butterscotch beer.
Okay. This is actually inside there is the blood of my previous guest.
That's awesome. No, this is it's a non-alcoholic drink from Costco. It was butterscotch beer. It that I like. It's quite good.
There is a
But it
name.
does. It looks like beer, but it's not.
Yeah, there is a fake beer, you can say that, from France. They call it that panache. And panache is a mix between beer, but it's not a real beer, and we call in Italy gasosa. It's like a tonic water, something like that. And
Hmm.
this is a mashup. Is a like a is an unalcoholic beverage actually.
Okay.
But I drank that a long. I drank is correct, or drank being a people that drink too much in English is
You know,
correct.
most English people don't even know how to say if it's drunk or drank. I think you drank. You drank.
But in the past, when you talk of something in the past,
It would be you drank something.
okay. In the past, I drank something that was like that. I'm not a big drinker, by the way. I like beer, but not so much. Uh, I don't
I
smoke.
don't
Do you
touch
smoke?
alcohol myself.
Do you smoke?
Nope, no smoke, no alcohol.
Me too.
I
I
stay
don't
pretty
smoke. I
clean.
don't smoke because I suffer asthma because
Right.
of the pollution.
I
So
grew up.
I know.
My father was a chain smoker, like my
Ah,
stepfather that I lived with. So I figured I got all my smoking in by getting all of his secondhand smoke while I was growing up.
yeah.
And
Second smoke.
I had no
Also,
interest
second
in it
smoke
after.
is not good. Second smoke also is dangerous because you breathe in there. My father was a smoker. Smoked not cigar, not cigarette, but the what is the name in the pipe?
The pipe,
What is
yeah,
the name?
tobacco.
Yeah, he smoked that. My father that. My brother smoked. My brother smoked cigarettes. No, he smoked cigar, not cigarettes actually.
So the
But
bigger,
I don't like smoke. And in general, I don't like girls that smoke because I don't want smoke in my house. Come on. Or
right?
go out there. If you want to smoke, go out there.
Yeah, it's stinky stuff. However, my grandfather, he smoked a tobacco pipe from time to time, and I remember as a kid, I actually really loved the smell of that. Like it was a nice sweet tobacco.
The
He would
pipe is
only,
different. I know that the
yeah,
pipe is
he would
different.
only smoke it once in a while. It was only, maybe around the holidays or for special occasions he would smoke it. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
smell of it. I didn't
The
enjoy the
smell of
smoke.
the pipe, me too. Me too. I'm agree for the pipe because was more like there is a sugar in the smoke. I don't know in
Yeah,
the
it's
pipe.
very sweet. It's like a very sweet tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that my father on the chair, the smoke, listen music because I listened a lot of music when I was a kid. My father listened Elvis Presley's, Ray Charles, blues, rock and roll, this stuff. So that means to me childhood. The smell of the pipe, childhood. Yes,
Mhm.
it's interesting all the memories, no, still alive in you, no,
Yeah.
and keep alive people that you miss. I miss some friends, artists, for example, famous artists. For example, one of my mentor was a philosopher in Italy, a popular philosopher. There was also a lyric writer for important songwriter in Italy, and
Mm.
was he participated on my song also. By the way, was one of the best moments of my career as a musician. And
Cool.
sometimes I remember some of his advice about the life, no, and
No,
it's cool
this is your
that
father. This is your grandfather.
no, this was a philosopher, was my mentor.
Your
My mentor,
mentor. Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
was a philosopher that worked with me, but was popular in Italy. Worked with important artists as well. So the memories keep alive the people that we love forever, I think.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
this is important. And also this is a good inspiration for the art because the stuff that you did especially for some of the figura obscura, in my opinion, in the figura obscura artwork, you see, I can say the real Nate, speaking of your talent, because you're more free. I think I have more
Yeah.
freedom to explore and to put yourself, especially think like the Father Christmas or of these two, the Dead Red Dead, especially Jacob Marley. You feel I can see in that your childhood as well, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and your memory, something that you love, the Christmas memory, because the holiday season is my favorite time of the year. The Christmas Eve actually is my favorite night of the year. I wait the whole year to that night, no, because it's magic.
It is.
Uh,
It really is.
and your artwork is perfect because Dickens is the art of the Christmas Eve, the artist of that, no.
That,
So I
that
want
very much is Christmas Eve. Yeah, that's on the Father Christmas package. Is that the one you're talking about?
yeah, but also the Christmas Carol is a
No,
story
yeah,
about
for Christmas Carol. Yeah, no, when Jacob Marley is visiting, that is Christmas Eve.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So
Jeremy would correct me if we were
no,
wrong.
I know really well because I watch during the Christmas time. I watch. By the way, my favorite version is as a modern version, the version with Bill Murray, the Scrooge. I love Scrooge with Bill Murray. Did you
Yes.
see Scrooge with Bill Murray movie?
Um, is that the one that was put together by BBC?
Yeah, it was also with the story that Bill Murray is actually a director of a broadcast, and he need to run the show for the Christmas Eve, and if he meet the ghost like Ebenezer Scrooge, no. And there is a fun fact about that movie because there is not only Bill Murray but also his three brothers in the movie. They are also actor. One of them is the most famous Brian Doyle Murray. Also, the other two was fun that one.
I watched some of that while I was working on the Marley piece. Yeah, because there was a moment, there was a scene that's overlooking London at midnight or in the middle of the night, and I was like, that influenced what went onto the box, where the ghosts are, was one of the scenes from there. It was influenced. I try not to steal anything. I'm not gonna take an exact scene by any means, but just the mood or the feeling that was there was something that I wanted to capture.
Cool. Now we are about 92 minutes, so it's time to go to the piano, my friends, to the outro. Not the real outro, because there is another outro, but I don't want to spoil the really end of the show. But let's play the song for Nate. And by the way, I still have to have a dinner because before the show, I was on writing, so in other words, and I haven't the time to have a dinner. I just have the time to do a shower before and do the show. So later, at the time of 5 a.m. in Italy, I will do my dinner. So
you'll do your dinner at 5 a.m. in the morning.
I'm a real vampire. Come on.
Yes, you are.
I need to be in a second wave of Ilitia if will be another wave of Ilitia because I'm a real vampire himself. You find religions when you got your faction. You find emotions into a magic world. There is a real artist in the Horsemen studios. They do awesome job for all the 3 lines. And it's my guess that you enjoy tonight with me. So thank you, Nate, to be on my show once again. Thank you for artwork that you did and your thoughts about the art in general tonight.
Thank you. It's been my honor.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Did the show you do with me and you and me. So, guys, stay tuned because will be more reviews on the channel, more interviews with more guests. Try to do a better pronunciation. More interviews with more guests and and more stop motion reviews and unboxing still to come with brand new figures for many different companies. So don't miss that. Especially thank you so much, Nate, once again, my friends. But don't go anywhere because there is a little fun video for you in the end of the show right now. Watch this video. Thanks for watching, my friends.
And please smash that button, my friends. Please smash and subscribe. Help this channel to go to 100k subscribers, my friends. This is my dream. Please give me your love, guys. But also, guys, leave a comment and share this video with your friends, guys. But also, my friends, consider become a patron to choose the next content of the channel. And also, my friends, become a member to be my guest in my show. That's right. And now you can see this video, or maybe this other video, or maybe another interview, reviews, unboxing, stop motion, tutorial, and more for you guys. So thanks for watching. Thank you so much. And subscribe, my friends. And so long, everybody. So long, my friends.